Right, welcome everybody to 1111. Today, my guest is known on Twitter, that's how I knew her, as Oluchi Writes, but I think she can tell you a little bit about herself. So that's us diving into the first question. Who is Oluchi?
Hi, thank you for having me on your show. I'm very excited to be here. Oluchi B. Kolanisi is an author, a life coach, and a speaker. And basically, what I do is try to get people to show up as the best version of themselves. I don't know a harder way to say it, but my job is to make sure that you are in tune with who you are in tune with what you want to do, and I help you through my coaching sessions, and I help you through my book. Before we how to navigate relationships by putting yourself first. So I'm basically in the business of self-discovery, self-mastery.
So kind of like a life coach.
Yes, yes,
Kind of.
yes. I'm not there yet. I'm not there. I don't want to like acclaim myself as this life coach, but I'm getting there. It is my ultimate goal to be a life coach.
Yeah, but I think that like life coaches, isn't it more like a life coach is more like I don't think you ever get there, if that makes any sense,
You will
because it's like
never.
life continues, and at each level you kind of discover something new to add on to what you're going to teach people.
That is very true, because what I'm teaching people now is something that I've learned, and I'm learning new things that's going to be encompassed in my new book. That's going to be, so it's a lifelong journey. And if you are a life coach or aspiring, you're always going to have to be a student. And life is about being a student 24/7, 365, 366 in a leap year. You
Yeah,
always have to stay on the grind.
this is totally random, but I'm just wearing, next time I have a bit of color, I'm like all black. You've got like your
I
yellow.
was wearing all black. Look, I was wearing all black, and I was like, oh my God, let me wear some yellow earrings to like just break the color, because I was like, it's all black, and black is my favorite color.
Same. It's just the easiest color to deal with.
Yes,
Second
yes,
question, tell us a
all the
little bit about
time.
the book.
My book is a self-help healing guide. So it takes you on a journey based on my journey of self-discovery. And it's got methods on how you can discover yourself. So it deals with trauma. Trauma is any circumstance or situation that made you uncomfortable and you are struggling to get over it. It deals with conditioning. Conditioning is you being told who you are supposed to be and who you should show up in the society. It deals with difficult relationship, work, husbands, boyfriends, family, friends, your relationship with food, your relationship with your body, your relationship with your soul, and all those things. It encompasses a lot of what we need to navigate in order for us to show up as our true selves. It's got questions at the end of each chapter, so you can reflect on each chapter. And just to let people know, so we have a chapter on listening, which teaches you how to listen to your intuition, on solitude, on how to have a foundation in being comfortable in being alone with yourself, and intention about why you do what you do, as well as self-awareness. So at the end of the book, you should at least have an
Feel a
idea
bit.
of who you want to be, and try to move in that direction. So
Yeah,
it's a great book for self-discovery, and for you to try to know who you are, and why you are showing up as the person that you are showing up currently. And if you need to decide to show up as a different person, then this is the book for you.
yeah, I think that part on solitude is actually very necessary because so many times we're used to leaning or depending on someone, be it a friend or a lover, and we actually don't know how to enjoy our solitude. So now you become versions of people you're with because you don't even know who you are when you're by yourself. And I think the most important
Exactly.
thing is to know who you are when you're by yourself because you're a little bit stronger when you know who you are, you know?
Exactly. And you have a direction. And I think more than anything, the reason why I'm so invested in this is for people to have a direction, because we found out now through the, what do you call it, the COVID, when we were locked in the house, that a lot of people actually, their depression and their anxiety spiked because they've made themselves a part of a society and they cannot function in solitude. And it's very important for self-discovery and self-awareness.
Yeah, definitely. What was it like? Like, what was the writing process like for you? Because I know every writer is different. So what was it like for you?
Well, this is my first formally published anything I've done in my life, so it's a first. It's a first, and I tell people all the time. I went through the journey. It started. My life has always been about um, religion, about God, about the extraterrestrial, everything that is not normal. So I've always been that child, and I've been writing since I was a child. I wrote my whole life. I wrote blogs. I wrote everything that I could write. I wrote textbooks back, and then I wrote them again. And
Mhm.
so I didn't know I was going to be an author. That I didn't know. I wasn't even trying to be an author. I was just trying to write for knowledge, for people to be educated. And
Yeah.
so I went through a dark night of the soul where I had to literally have a tower moment and let my previous life crumble. And then I had to use all those tools I've been accumulating throughout my life and throughout my existence and try to get over this tower moment and try to get into my light, to step into my enlightenment. And so a lot of the book is about and around that journey. The actual writing of the book was not difficult at all because the techniques I've already had and I've already practiced in my life and I've already been encompassing throughout my whole entire existence. It was just a matter, once I got the structure, literally I sat down in the same place and the tree was like, write a book. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I went home and then I started writing a structure, how I would want a book about how to overcome what I had to overcome to look like. And I'm not going to lie, I'm a nonfiction reader by nature. I am an educator and a learner by nature. I've been reading throughout my life about self-healing as a huge Oprah fan back in the day when he introduced all these different gurus. So I had the knowledge in my head the whole time. And it was just a matter of me practicing it during my tower moment. And when that was over for me, just me piling that information and then giving it to people. So I literally took like a month or two to write the book. Based because I was lazy. You know, when you write something and it's so great, you don't want to go reread it and then you like mess it up. So I wrote the first draft of the book and then I think I sat for a month because I was like, it got out of my system and I was like, oh, maybe I don't want to publish it. Maybe I don't want to publish it. I probably don't. I sat with it for a month and then again, the same tree was like, listen here, girl, we didn't say you must write the book to keep it for yourself. We said you must write it so you can heal other people. I get it. You said you're a healer. And I was like, oh, okay, I need to do it. And then I literally had a schedule where I would edit one chapter. It's 10 chapters. It literally took 2 weeks and then I did it and then I sent it off to the publishers and they were like, oh my god, this is a fantastic book, it's going to help a lot of people. And I was like, oh, okay, it's great. And the publishing people did the editing with me and then they published the book. I wrote all the book myself with no help. It was my first one and I'm very proud of the book and I'm very proud of the process. But the first thing I had to do was find a publisher, and I found a publisher that was going to help me self-publish, and then I wrote the book, and then I gave the book over to the people, and they helped me put it out in the space for commercialization.
That's great, hey? And on that note,
Thank you.
would you have any words of advice for someone wanting to write a book?
Write the book. There's no any other advice. Just write the book. Just do it. I tell people all the time, if you try to get too much education on something, you're never going to do it. I believe in 80% doing the thing and then 20% trying to figure it out how it works after you've done it. And that's exactly what I did, what I do with a lot of things. I go and do it. And then I'm like, okay, now the book is done. How do I get it out? A lot of the people that come and approach me haven't even started writing a chapter. And I mean, even if you go about the traditional way of getting a book published, trying to send it to those big publishing houses that are going to put them in brick and mortar stores, you have to write at least 3 chapters and then you send it to them and they're like, okay, we think it could be something. The whole point is that you're never going to write a book if you don't write the book. Write the book and then take it to the people. Writing, like, you literally need a laptop and type and type and type send it through. I didn't know what structure I was going to have my book. People always ask me about when did I think about adding the questions. It happened after I wrote the book. The whole point was that I wrote the book and then I didn't know how to edit it, and then I edited it, and I didn't know how to publish it, and then I Googled how to publish it, and I didn't know how to do artwork, and then I Googled, like, if you're a writer, your first point of anything is to actually write, and then
Yeah.
anything else is going to fall into then you can go on my DM and be like, listen, Luchi, I wrote a book, it's done, what's the next step, instead of being like, hey Luchi, how do I write a book? If you feel like and you believe that you're a writer, the only way you can write is by writing. And for anybody, if you're a designer, it's the same thing. If you're a travel blogger, it's the same thing. If anything that you do, you have to do. And that's my advice. Write the book.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, there's something I worked on, and it was literally an idea that made me feel like I was mad. Like I just kept having the same idea until I actually just wrote it out. When I wrote it out is when the idea left my head. And I was like, okay,
Exactly.
evidently, my ancestors want me to write this book, so let me just write this book because damn it, the noise is loud.
Exactly. And it's the same thing. If something has happened in your head, it has happened in all time. And you literally just have to work until you get to the vibration where you guys meet, and then it gets realized. And so you just have to be there. Meet the thing on the street. Don't be at home trying to be on the street. If you want to be home, be home. If you're trying to be on the street, be on the street. Like, you cannot be home wishing to be on the street.
Yeah, true. And I know you spoke a little about the tower, but what else influenced your book? Since, if I'm not mistaken, it's on self-help.
Depression, anxiety, stress, being lost, being confused, being unaware, being all these things that I didn't want to be. I mean, at the beginning, like the preface of the book talks about, in 2017, I was unhappy and I didn't know what direction to take. My life was like literally crumbling. I don't know what a midlife crisis is, but what I was going through was a midlife crisis. And
Mm,
we go as teenagers and we get thrust into adulting. And a lot of us don't have tools about how to adult. We were not taught life skills from our families on how to navigate different scenarios in life, different circumstances, different people. Some of us were never given the tools, and then all of a sudden you get thrust into adulthood, and then you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I doing? And I tell people all the time that journey between you being 18 and you being 25 is the nicest time for you to mess up. Do everything that you need to do in that space. And then life is going to come at you again when you're 26 and be like, okay, it was nice. So what you going to do about it now? And literally, that is what happens to a lot of us. If you see on Twitter,
mm,
everybody wants to complain about adulting. And adulting is not about what the society wants. It's about you being comfortable in who you are. So you show up in the society as who you are. So when I was going through that whole tower, I tried to mask it with alcohol. I tried to mask it with holding on to relationships and people that were not in supposed to be in my radar. And I tried to cover it up and try to be different people. And it wasn't working for me. I lost track of who I was. I started getting depressed where I couldn't function. If I was not working, I had to be induced in some form of recreational drug. So if I'm not at work, let me be drugged up. And it went on for a year, up until to a point where I was like, I cannot even deal with myself. I'm overweight. I'm unhappy at work. I'm unhappy in my relationship. I'm unhappy with my friends. I'm literally in an anxiety state. And literally, it was me making a decision that, listen, you are here. You know there are better days. You know there's a better way. You know there's another way. Why don't you look for this other way that's going to take you out of this limbo state that's making you so unhappy? And 2017 latter part, I looked into those things. I actively looked for those things. What can I do to help myself? And I mean, 2018 January, we had the idea to go on a trip in Cape Town, and we did. And then God came through and was like, listen here, just drop the alcohol. And I was like, I'll do that. And I did. And when you listen to your intuition, other intuitions start talking. If you don't listen to the first one, that one is going to trickle until it floods. and then you do it, and then it gives you the next one. You cannot move on until you move on. So my first listening that came about from me listening was the fact that I needed to drop the alcohol, and I did it. And when I dropped the alcohol, it opened so much of my space. I had my weekends back. And when I had my weekends back, I had to think about things that I'm going to fill those weekends with. And then that's when I started writing again. And that's when I started exercising again. That's when I started taking hiking seriously. That's when I started taking meditation seriously. That's when I started taking my life seriously. And it happened in like series. So you do one thing and then it leads you to a path. For example, I stopped drinking. I could focus on other things, and I could focus really on trying to look for a new job, because another thing that I was not happy about was the fact that I hated my old job, and I focused on that, and that came true in the same year. And I was like, oh yes, God, you are leading me in the right direction. And that gave me motivation then to look at other spaces. Then I looked at my work. If I put in work in that direction, it works out. So that means if I put in work in my weight and in my body and my nutrition, that's gonna work out. And that worked out. And I was like, ooh, let me put energy into tasks that I want to do. Then the writing came in, and that worked out. And I was like, ooh, now let me look into the relationships. And then I looked into that, and then that worked out. And I was like, ooh, let me look into the friendships. And life will always pile positive things if you keep piling positive things in your life. And if you keep piling negative things, you're going to keep piling negative things. And life is about trial and error. If you don't do the trial and error, it won't happen in itself. You always have to try something. And if it works, you continue doing it. If it doesn't work, then you drop it. A lot of us want to hold on to certain standards and to certain ways of doing things that don't work, and we get hurt, we get burnt, and then it's so hard for us to drop that. And what I've learned about me being in that tower moment, and then me taking the advice that the universe keeps giving me, it allowed me to make sense of life as it was happening to me, to a point now I am the alchemist. I create the life that I want, the way that I want to create it.
Yeah, yeah. So, who can you name like two people who are your inspiration when it comes to writing?
I don't have, when it comes to writing, I really don't have. I can't even lie to you and say I have a
Mm,
favorite writer or a favorite person. I would mention like Malcolm Gladwell. I like his thinking, and I like his style of thinking. He wrote what book did he write again? I forgot. And Paulo Coelho, the guy who wrote The Alchemists.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That one I know.
I'm sorry, but I don't have. I'm such like a sparse out reader. I'll read your stuff and I won't like follow up with the next book. If I gravitate towards it, I'll gravitate towards it. I don't have a favorite writer. I don't want to lie and say Chimamanda Adichie is my favorite writer. No, she's not. And I don't have one. I like Paul Coelho. I like Malcolm Gladwell. I like Toni Morrison. I like Chimamanda. There's a lot of great people. I'm a life student, so I never want to intertwine myself too much with a certain aspect that usually messes up my psyche. I like different aspects from different people, even if it's about the same thing. I've learned happiness from like 5 different writers. They're saying the same thing, but they're saying it in different experiences. So no, I don't have a favorite writer. I like a lot of people that write, and my favorite genre is obviously nonfiction. I like history, I like psychology, I like anything that has to do with the human nature. I study nature all the time. I was learning about birds just yesterday. So it's my thing. I don't have a favorite anything really. I'm a student of the world, and I learn from everybody.
All right. And you're all things African and pro-Black. Have you always been proud, or was there a switch? Because I know that for some Africans, they're not always proud.
Yes, I
Somewhere along
have.
the line, you realize, hey, I'm African. I'm Zimbabwean or South African or Malawian. I rock.
I've always been proud to be Black. For me, what the confusion was we were never shown in a positive light, and we never had media that depicted African people. We had media that depicted American Blackness for a long time that we were drilled to be Americans every day in the media that we consumed. I grew up in the 90s. We were literally, if you were not watching, if you were watching SABC One, it was American TV with a little bit of South African. And I know that had to do with budget and stuff like that. But I don't subscribe to white people. I don't know anything that white people are doing. I subscribe to black people. I consume black everything since I was a child. All my
Mhm.
favorite heroes are black people. But what I will say about that, I had to introduce myself to the African diaspora. It was always American blackness and South African blackness. And I had to then introduce myself to Africa, my own self. And a lot of us in different African countries, we have to do that ourselves because there's nothing that connects us as Africans. We always connected via the American media. I know now people made a lot of noise about Black is King. And I was like, we cannot make a lot of noise about Black is King because that's the only thing that came that united Africa as Africa. We don't get a lot of that. There's nothing that's being done in Africa that unites Africa as Africa. We always have to get like a little source from America. Like Burna Boy, I got to learn about him via the UK. Davido, I had to learn via the UK, and a lot of the people that I'm interacting with now from Zimbabwe and Kenya, I had to find them via the UK, and I had to bring them back here to Africa. And it's what I'm interested in now. I'm connecting with creatives from the African diaspora, and that is, I'm intentioning that. But to be non-black, I've always loved to be black, and I've always subscribed to blackness. It's just that it had to come via America or the UK, and now that social media and the internet is thriving, we are able to get it directly from our brothers and sisters here in Africa.
All right, all right. Yeah, I've always been pro. I've never been ashamed of who I am because my dad drilled that into all of us. Word of
Yeah.
advice for anyone who may be struggling with being proud of where they're from.
You have to learn. You know what? I knew there was something that I was not getting in terms of the South African history around blackness and black people, and I literally went to go buy books. Now I'm learned about being a South Africa. You know, when people want to talk about blackness, they always want to bring it here next door, apartheid. Oh, the black people were oppressed. No, we were not oppressed. We've never been oppressed. And I tell people all the time, if you're going to look at it from an oppressed, you're not thinking about the people that survived the oppression, because we are the direct links of the people that survived the oppression. And if you're not proud of anybody surviving any adversities, then you can never be proud of yourself. I learned about the Zulu War, the last one that took place, and those people fought until they couldn't fight anymore. It's the same thing about the different um, Xhosa people in the Eastern Cape. We all had to fight. No one gave up their land because it was like, oh, I'll give it to you. And no one gave up their children. No one gave up their cattle. No one gave up anything. And it's about going back to the history books and knowing what's important and knowing how we came about to be in this state. And we came about to be in this state by fighting. We all fought. People want to talk about King Leopold II, like he went to Congo and chopped people's hands off. Those people were fighting. Do you know about the people that were fighting in the corners to try to overcome that? Do you know about the people in Zimbabwe that were fighting to overcome the colonization? There were a lot of us who were fighting. We were more connected in our fight back in the day, and history is not distorted. History is there to tell you the truth, but the one that's commercialized is obviously the one that benefits a certain minority of people. But if you go back, you will know that the people in Central Africa fought for their rights. You will know the people in Nigeria fought. The people fought, not the government. And I think that's where we get it distorted when we're trying to put a couple of people at the top. They were not the people that were fighting. Us, the people were fighting. If you look at the story of 1976, it was the students that were fighting. We were the revolution, not government. Not we. If we think that the revolution is ever going to come from the government, we are very much late. The revolution is going to come from us, by me and you doing this webinar and teaching other people how to be comfortable in themselves, and then having this trickling effect. It's not going to come from the heaven down. We're going to have to bring it from the ground up. And for everybody who's not proud to be black, you are reading the whole history. wrong,
Yeah.
and you're not anchored into who you are. You can go anywhere. The Great Zimbabwe is there as proof that the black people were the black people. If you go to Egypt, there's proof that says that the black people were the black people. And I always tell people all the time, how can you not believe it? The ancient civilization, the oldest one in the world, is here with black people in it. You
Yeah,
don't
true.
believe that we really are who we are. And I was now at Mpumalanga last year. I had to learn about the birthplace of the sun. It's the same place that you would see anywhere else, and there's too much information available for us to be ashamed of who we are. And if you're looking at mainstream media, you're never going to be proud of who you are, because you're either being sold, or you are being sold something. They're selling you, or they're selling you something. And
Yeah, which is
it's
why we need to
important for
create our
us,
own. We need to be the
our
ones to
own.
create.
Exactly.
If we really want the image to change, we need to change it ourselves. And a lot of people are working
and
towards
and
that as is. I'm
and
seeing a lot of videographers, photographers, actors, actresses. I think you need to stand your ground, because even if America calls you to be in a movie, do not act the fool. Because if you act the fool,
exactly,
that's how they're going to see you and the country you're from.
exactly. And
So it's
I
also
mean,
what
we
you
had
accept, because just because an opportunity is nice doesn't mean it's good. A lot of the times they
yeah,
really do
and
like to make Africans seem like complete fools. And what countries would you like to visit or revisit in Africa?
Zimbabwe. I know I'm next door, but I never got a chance. I really want to go to the Great Zimbabwe ruins, guys. I've been dying since last year. I really, really want to go. I am so excited about going.
Yeah,
If
that's
I have a
actually
little bit,
where my rural home is, because everybody here, like, you come from your father's rural area. So my father's rural areas in Mashingo, where the Great Zimbabwe ruins are. And architects from all over the world actually come to study it because it's an architectural masterpiece.
yeah, and
So,
you know that the legend says that the Queen of Sheba, who's in the Bible, actually was boarding there.
so you
So
see,
why wouldn't I
a
want to?
lot. Trust me, you have a lot to see. Actually, there are a lot of hidden gems, and then there are a lot of known gems in this country. And
Yeah.
besides Zimbabwe, any other country that you want to visit?
Definitely, I want to do Botswana. Botswana is very nice. I want to do Gaborone, but that's for like aesthetic. They look nice. Kenya is very expensive. I saw Kenya. I wanted to go to Kenya in Mombasa, and I was like, Kenya is another thing we need to look at is why is Africa so expensive? It's cheaper for me to go to Italy than for me to go to Kenya. And I do want to go to Kenya. I do want to do Botswana, and I do want to do Zimbabwe, but Zimbabwe is first on my list. And then if I have money, I'll do Botswana. If I have more money, then I'll do Kenya. Because it's very expensive to travel in Africa. And thank
Eh,
you for having that show with those travel ladies from Zim. I'm
yeah, the
definitely gonna
travel
use them
nomads.
yeah.
Yeah,
So when I'm trying
definitely.
to
I
come to
mean,
Zim,
I always
definitely
tell
use
people,
them.
if you want to travel anywhere, ask them for a piece of advice. They'll tell you things that will save your pocket quite a bit. But I
Yeah,
do think that
exactly.
we have to start changing that narrative as well and have cheap flights, because it's not like I'm saying make the flight $5, but I am
Yeah,
saying we actually don't have a direct flight from here to Mozambique. We have to do from here to South Africa, Mozambique, and it ends up being more expensive. It's cheaper for me to go to Dubai than it is for me to go to
exactly. That's
Mozambique,
the thing.
which
I
makes
can
no
go to Dubai, but
sense.
I cannot go.
Exactly.
Exactly. We need to
So definitely, if any airlines person just happens to pass by this video, change your prices.
make it cheap. And again, before we move on to the next thing, and what I want to say to everybody, just be who you are. Be exactly who you are. Show up in every space with the authenticity that is inside of you. Because what kills you is the fact that you want to show up as a version of people that you don't even know. I tell people all the time, it's very difficult to climb the corporate ladder here in South Africa, but I did it, and I did it by being me. And everywhere I go where I get a compliment, they were like, oh, it's Bongi, she's Bongi, she's exactly like that. People get used to the behavior that you give them, and if you give them a behavior of always being scared, of being fearful, they're going to accept that. And if you give them a behavior of being confident in who you are and what you're bringing, then people are always going to respect you for that.
Yeah, true, true. I hope y'all are taking notes. What's next? Do you have any plans for another book, or you're still pushing this one?
Well, what's next for me is that I'm going to do a mini tour. I'm starting now, end of April. Hopefully, the government doesn't close the borders again, because I've been wanting to do this tour since the beginning of the year, but they'll be like, oh, we're closing the borders. So I'm going on a tour for this book. My second book is done, but obviously I want this to gain as much momentum as possible, because the next book is sort of like a sequel. If you get this one, you're going to get the next one. So hopefully by next year, this time I'm going to be dropping my next book, which is already done. But this year I want to focus more on this book. I want to do more self-love webinars, and I want to do more coaching, gather more information, and potentially help the next book, or I can do a volume 2 of this book. A lot of people have been asking me to do a volume 2 that features other people telling their own stories. So
Hmm.
I'm going to do that definitely. But my main aim for the remainder of 2021 is to push this message as much as possible, to get to as many people as possible. And really, my dream is not to be a South African writer. My dream is to be an African writer, and have that same effect that Miriam Makeba did have. Like, that's my hero. If you're looking for heroes that I admire, Miriam Makeba is one of those women. And she was such an African a student. She was such an African in her core, in her essence, that I want to be exactly like her. And so that's what I want to do. I want to push the book as much as I can. And if I get opportunity to go to other countries, then I want to do exactly that. I don't want to go to America. I don't want to go to the UK. I want to push the African agenda. And that's what I want to do.
All right. Um, yeah, this is just a random note, but my dad really didn't like America. Hey, like he would always tell
No,
people
no.
choose
I
anywhere
feel,
else
I feel
but there. He was like, I'm paying your school fees, but I'm not paying for there. And, it's just I think because of that, I've never really been interested, really. But last
yeah,
question
no.
is a fun one. 10 things we'd
Uh-huh.
find in your bag.
Why does it have to be 10 things? Because I had to think, I was like, what would be 10 things in my bag? But that's because I never carry a bag. I'm like a boob person. If it can fit in my boobs, then that's it. I don't have to carry a bag.
So are there 10 things that fit in your
So
boobs?
that's usually money and my cell phone, or a credit card and my cell phone. And that's what I need to be in the streets. That's more than enough. But if I am carrying a bag, obviously my Lola and Co product, she's got a sage mist that I use to mist myself. It like cools me down. And
Mhm.
Lola and Co lip balm. Again, my friend has the best organic products ever. So it's my Lola and Co mist, my Lola and Co lip balm, and I usually have my cell phone and my wallet and my charger. And that's it. I don't carry bags. I really don't. I'm a sling bag chick, or I'm a boob chick. Like, there's like nothing.
I've got so many bags, it's ridiculous, actually. Like
Are you serious?
yeah, I think I only noticed when my ex was like, how many bags do you have? And I started trying to count, right? I was like, a lot. Because I think I also get from my sisters. I'm the youngest and I've got three older sisters. So
Oh
when
yeah,
it comes
that's
to
nice.
clothes, jewelry, makeup, bags, it's always like, here you go. It doesn't even matter that I'm 31 now. They still like,
I wish I had those. I have no bags. Now that you say it, I have no bag. I have one bag that I call the Chris Jenner bag. So if I'm going to like an important meeting, I carry my Chris Jenner bag, because it's like the money bag. And I have like a black sling bag that if I'm going like to a market, then I hoy it. Then I put my lip gloss. I'm not even a makeup person, so I never have like to carry things. I literally never have to carry anything, so I'm not a bag person. It's nice talking to someone who's a bag lady. Bag
Yeah,
lady.
literally. I think I also have a bag that's like in the shape of a lip. And then I have a Ndebele print bag. And then I have one that's got thatch. And then I have one my dad got me like ages ago. I think it's like 15 years old when he went to Sudan. And it's kind of made of reed. But then on it, there's a woman. There's like a woman with African print, a duke, and there's like a little bit of
Yeah.
hair. And then she's got like a seashell earring like on it. Like my bags are just, they're me actually.
That is
If my friends were to ask you what kind of bags does she have, you'll be like, it's it's her. Just know it's her.
oh I know
I
I'm not a bag person, I'm not a jewelry person, I'm not a shoes person. I actually don't even know what person I am. I
I
don't
like
know, but
buying
you
shoes, but most of the times I'm
huh?
barefoot. I said I like buying shoes, but most of the times I'm
Oh,
barefoot.
oh.
So like my friends
No,
always
I don't
like,
know what I like. I don't know what my bougie is. I must try to figure it out. Like I don't
you
know. I
must.
like
And
I'm not
then
like these these earrings I got now. Now when I told you I was at the shops and because I then decided I was gonna wear this black thing, I was like, ooh, let me get some earrings. Because the last ones I bought the last time I had to do an interview, I lost one. So and I was
yeah,
like, I can't even have a necklace. This is like my crystal that is hanging because I wear crystals all the time. Literally, my necklaces are all crystals.
mm.
I have no other jewelry at all. I'm probably going to lose this one by the end of today. So if I have another interview, then I have to think and then go buy another earring.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. All of the details, all of her details will be down below in the description box. So if you want to contact her or see where her book is, which you can buy because it's on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. And basically all
Hello,
the
yes,
links
it is.
will be in the description box. So don't say I didn't plug you. You just click on the description box and you click on the link that you want. But thank
Yes.
you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I
Definitely, I'll be
appreciate
catching
this.
you when you release your next book. And yeah, thank you so
Yes,
much.
yes. Thank you so much for having me live and light.